Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have a guest on from West Georgia Health, AMR, and also I will have on a travel basketball coach. So make sure you stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with individuals from the West Georgia Health and also the AMR services. Let me start out by introducing Tara Vaughn, who is a cardiac nurse at West Georgia Health, the manager of cardiovascular nurse at West Georgia Health. Okay. Welcome to the show, Tara.
Thank you.
Also, I have on from AMR the operations manager for the Troop, Coweta, and South Fulton area, Lorraine Lai. Lorraine, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Well, great to have both of you ladies on here. And I want to just start out by talking, first of all, February was a heart month, a healthy heart month throughout the nation. And I think both of you ladies are kind of really involved in healthy hearts and seeing people that may be experiencing heart attacks, or in your case, Lorraine, maybe car accident and various numbers of things. But I want to jump over to Tara and ask you the question. Talk a little bit about your role as a cardiovascular nurse.
Okay, sure. So I'm currently the manager of the West Georgia Health Cardiovascular Service line. So in the heart clinic, we're kind of divided into two separate areas. We have an invasive side and a non-invasive side. Okay. In non-invasive, we do cardiac stress testing, we do echoes, we do carotid ultrasound, we do vascular ultrasounds, EKGs, and then in the invasive side, we do our cardiac caths, and where our heart attack patients come, where we do stent procedures, and we do pacemaker procedures in the invasive side. Okay,
invasive and non-invasive.
That's correct.
You know, I mean, a lot of things, and the heart is perhaps one of the most important organs in the body, I would think, next to maybe the liver that kind of filters out all the various infections and poisons and things of that nature. Lorraine, talk a little bit about your role, if you don't mind, as operations manager.
Right, so as an operations manager, I basically manage the employees of Troop, Coweta, and South Fulton. We have in both markets, about 268 employees. So it's paramedics and EMTs as well as support staff. So we have ambulances, running 24/7, answering 911 calls, and then in some areas we do inter-facility transports as well, which is most areas. We actually cover Metro Atlanta for that. So they would take, say for example, from West Georgia, once the patient stabilized, if they need further care somewhere else, we could transport those patients too. So we do kind of two things. We do the pre-hospital care for somebody who's having a problem, and then sometimes from hospital to hospital if there was something else the patient needs. Okay. Or insurance purposes. Okay. You know, there's different reasons.
You know, sometimes, because I live in Noonan, and sometimes I'll see an ambulance going up the highway, and it may have the lights, not necessarily activated sirens, but they have the lights flashing. So I'm going to assume they may be transporting a patient.
They could be going somewhere to a call, or they could be transporting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Now, Tara, we were talking about healthy heart and things of that nature. Talk a little bit about some of the symptoms of a person that may be having or experiencing what they feel may be a heart attack.
Okay. So the classic symptoms, of course, is going to be chest tightness, chest pressure, left arm, or even sometimes right arm pain, neck pain, jaw pain, shortness of breath. Our female population tends to have a little bit what we call atypical symptoms, meaning they may have, pain between the shoulder blades. Sometimes they have this just sense of impending doom, something to just not right. They kind of feel anxious. And our diabetic patients as well can have some atypical symptoms. So it's not always just that crushing, tight chest pain that we see. Sometimes it can just be a little bit more atypical. Shortness of breath, sweating, those sorts of things.
Okay. Now, we all have those home remedies, and people always say a bare aspirin under the tongue. Do you advise that, Tara?
We do. We
do that.
Yes. Okay. Baby aspirin, and then once the EMS get there, they typically give them 4 baby aspirin.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Now, Lorraine, you're also a paramedic as well. Talk
Correct.
about that if you don't mind.
So, I've been a paramedic for several years, and we respond to these calls, and like Tara was saying, we'll see a lot of different types of patients. And they can present in all ways. Like some people will have a heart attack even though their only symptom is nausea. So it's very important that the paramedics and EMTs get there so they can assess the patient. Because there's things that we can do that the patient can't do for themselves, like put you on the monitor, look at your heart, see the electrical activity. Most heart attacks will show changes in the EKG. Some don't. There are very few that don't, though. But for the
Okay.
most part, we'll see it in the EKG, and we'll be able to tell you, hey, you're having a heart attack, and therefore we can treat you, and also let the hospital know. That way they're prepared. Because, you know, back in the day, it may be just a phone call, but nowadays we can actually transmit your EKG straight to the hospital.
Okay.
So they can get their cath lab team and everybody ready.
In
So that when the
place.
patient gets there, I mean, they go boom right into the cath lab, they open them up, and that actually saves a lot of lives.
Okay, very good. And you're talking about something I want to get into, the relationship between the AMR and the hospital. You're talking about transporting information prior to them getting there. Let me ask about the question. A lot of times people may feel like, oh, I'm having the chest pain, a little tightness, and well, I'm just going to drive myself. Is that advisable, ladies?
No,
No.
not
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
I mean, you know, and I've run calls where people have tried that because they, you know, they didn't want to call 911, or they think, oh, maybe this isn't anything, I don't want to bother anyone. So they try to drive themselves, and then what's happened before is they have an accident and they actually go into cardiac arrest while driving. So now you're dealing with an accident and they've hit other people. I mean, it just creates a lot of situation. It's better to call 911.
Compounds the
Absolutely.
situation. Then.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And there's so much that they go ahead and get started, like she mentioned. When they transmit the EKG, we go ahead and get it, and then we can activate what we call our code STEMI team,
Okay.
which is our cath lab team. It's actually a multidisciplinary team. In the ER, we involve pharmacy, our ER physicians and nurses, of course, EKG, radiology. They all kind of come into the patient. We've also recently started what we call direct to cath lab, meaning straight from the field they come directly to the cath lab. Bypass the ER. We always say time is muscle. So when we can actually utilize the direct to cath lab, patients, their mortality is much lower, and they have much better outcomes.
Very good.
Right, and we can treat too. So we do the EKG and say, I see that you're having, you know, a heart attack. At that point, I transmit it straight to her. Plus, I'm calling the hospital saying, hey, we have this patient who is however old, and these are their symptoms, and this is what I'm seeing on the EKG. I'm transmitting it. They look at it, but also at the same time, I can give you medication, not just the aspirin.
Right.
I can give you stuff that starts trying to open up your vessels, because basically all a heart attack is the coronary arteries aren't getting enough oxygen to a certain area of the heart, so it's starving for oxygen, and when that happens, the heart muscle starts to die. So it is very critical. So we give medications like nitroglycerin that will actually increase the diameter of the coronary arteries to allow more
Air
blood
flow.
flow and oxygen to the heart. There's some instances that we don't give nitro, but those are few and far between. But then we can do morphine or fentanyl. So I mean, there's options.
Very important. You know, and you say, and I heard you say time is muscle. What's that window of opportunity from when it starts experiencing those symptoms?
Yeah.
What's that window, or is there a window that you all see primarily?
I mean, no, because it can be a patient who's had symptoms for 3 days and they're having a heart attack. It could be less than 5 minutes. It depends on which artery is being affected and how much, because some stuff can happen very, very quickly. That's why it doesn't pay to say, okay, well, I'll wait, I'll drive myself. It's best to go ahead, call 911, get there as soon as possible. Because, I mean, we've had situations, like I said, somebody's been in pain for 5 days. And they're okay because we got them to the hospital, but then we've had people who immediately have just gone down and died.
Absolutely.
So time is of essence. then.
Time is muscle.
Absolutely.
That's our motto.
You know, and I notice a lot of places now they go to the automatic defibrillators in the various locations. Do you all recommend someone, and I'm going to lead into talking about CPR classes too.
Absolutely.
Do you all recommend someone that may not necessarily have had training on those equipments to utilize those? What's you all's take on that?
Absolutely.
yes.
They're, the AEDs that are in the community are automated.
Okay.
And really, they're very simple. The vast majority, you can speak to this as well, they're just push the button and it walks you right through it. It says apply pads to patient's chest.
Okay.
And then it'll say stand clear, analyzing the rhythm. And then it'll say shock advised, push the shock button. So
Okay.
they're very simple, and that's actually what they're designed for lay people in the community with really no medical training should be able to use those.
Okay, very good. I noticed in the gym, unfortunately, we had an incident where an individual went down and we didn't have those then. So after that, we do see them now on each
No.
floor of the gymnasium. CPR classes. I can remember back in the day when people would take, and I started at police department, and we would go to CPR training classes. Are the classes still offered now?
Absolutely. They're all over. I mean, American Heart as well as American Red Cross. And I mean, somebody just needs to Google CPR classes and you can find classes. You can even do them online now to where you can do all the didactic online, I mean, all the theory online, and then you can actually go and test your skills. But it's so easy. And it saves lives. You know, good bystander CPR is what actually saves lives. Because if you think about it, from the time you call 911 until the time it takes us to get there, that person, if you're doing CPR, stands such a better chance of surviving, because the heart is just a muscle and it's just a pump, and what happens is it transports the blood around the body that has oxygen, which is ultimately what your body needs, is the oxygen. So when you're pushing on someone's chest doing CPR, you're pumping. So at least then the blood is getting around. You know, and I know a lot of people have a problem with mouth to mouth because of, you know, diseases and stuff. Honestly, as long as you're doing CPR, you're okay. You don't have to put your mouth on a stranger's mouth if you don't want to. Now, of course, the whole process calls for both.
Right.
But if you're hesitant, I'd rather you be doing at
Just the
least chest
pumping.
compressions than nothing, because you do have residual oxygen still inside, so some will still be circulating.
Okay.
Plus, when you're pushing on someone's chest, there will be some passive inhalation that occurs.
Very good.
So-
You know, like I said, it used to be at times when I can remember we had the mannequins and we would just the 1, 2, 3 count rhythm and various, and sweet breathe, all of those various things. Very good information, ladies. Now, if someone, Tara, wanted to get more information about, you know, symptoms and everything, can you give them your contact information if you don't mind?
Absolutely. You can contact in the Heart Clinic, 706-882-1411 is the main hospital number at West Georgia Health, and they can then direct you to the Heart Clinic, or you can visit our website, wghealth.org.
Okay, very good. Lorraine, can you give out contact information for yourself? Because you're also a paramedic in classes.
Absolutely. So you can contact me at 678-533-0047, I think.
Okay.
I think
You think-
0053. I can't remember my
Can't
number all of
remember,
a
don't
sudden.
call yourself, right?
Yeah,
I
don't call
understand.
myself ever.
That's right.
Or just lorraine.lie@rmetro.com.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to get hold of me.
All right. Well, ladies, this is very good information. I definitely want to have you all come back on so we can continue to talk a little bit about healthy hearts. Even though last month, February, was Heart Month, this is something we could talk about all year round. Because we're getting ready to enter into the summer months where the heat is going to be maybe a little bit warmer.
And drowning.
And drowning, various things of that nature. So, ladies, thank both of you all very much for being on the show today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for
you
having
very
us.
much.
All right. Thank you
Appreciate
all.
it.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm sitting down with someone that has been very special to me in my life, Mr. Rico Persons. I have to say, I met this gentleman when he was a 5th grader, and very, very proud of him now for the things that he's doing in our community. Rico, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Well, now, Rico, you and I, as we know, go way back. And you are now a young man, have your own family, doing some wonderful things in our community, and you have a basketball team, travel basketball team,
Yes.
Wolverines.
Yeah.
Hoops on fire, you say.
Hoops on fire.
Talk a little bit about your team first of all, if you don't mind.
Well, I have 12 guys, outstanding guys. I love them to death as if they are my own. I kind of grow apart with them last year because I wasn't part of the team, but I just had my son there. So this year I'm kind of hands-on with them, and it's been a win. It's been a whirlwind, boy. I'll tell you, a whirlwind. 13 guys, 12 guys, and maturing and attitudes.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. It's been awesome.
Now, let me ask you now, Rico, I know that you said you had your son there, and then you have other 11, 12 guys there. Why are you involved with with the young kids, with the youth, I should say?
It starts with them. It starts with them, and it ends with them. If we start with them, when they come young men, they can reach back and pull that next one up. The next one can pull the next one up. It's basically helping one another.
Okay.
Because honestly, it's few of us out here that's leading these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with me, I can lead them. I done did some things and been some places, and a productive role model in their life would be great. You know, it's just something I felt passionate in, and it's something I'm passionate with.
Okay.
So I love it.
Okay. Let me ask you, why the game of basketball? There's other sports, baseball. You know, why the game of basketball?
My passion.
Your passion.
My passion. That's my passion. I love it. And when my son come to me and say, "Dad, I want to play ball," it was the light went off. Like, now I can get back involved in something I want to do.
Right.
It's basically, I don't want to say living the dream through him, but it's something that I know about. I don't want to do nothing I don't know nothing about.
Okay.
So basketball was that key. I know it. I done played it. I done did everything you can do with that game. So when he came to me and said, "Dad, I want to play," why not?
Why not? Because I can remember coming to some of your recreational ball games and high school, junior high school games, and I must say, I must brag on you. You were very good too.
And I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, look, now you have a team, and most of these are seventh graders.
Yes, sir.
At that age in their life where they could go either way.
Either way.
You know, they're kind of getting into themselves. You know, peer pressure may be a little bit stronger, and sometimes they can be a little bit rebellious.
Whew.
How do you deal with that, Rico?
Oh man, I can't take. I use some of my examples in my life with them guys.
Okay.
Because I know at that age, like you said, they feeling themselves. They interested in girls, and I know everything. It's that point where you just I sit them down and I explain to them, this one mistake you make in your life can turn you a whole different path. And I try to keep them on path, and I'm a realist with them. I don't sugarcoat nothing for them. I give them the real talk.
Okay.
And I try to keep them on path by letting them know this game can take you out of what you in, along with the education you get. It's a lot involved in this. Like I said, it's a brand I'm trying to build with these guys, and they're the foundation of it.
Okay, very good. In talking about that, I want to ask a little bit about the parental support, because I know in any program it's always important to have the backing and support of parents. How is that for you and your team?
I got outstanding parents.
Okay.
I can't ask for nothing more with the parents I got. If I ask them, I need them to be somewhere, they get everything done, set up, and all I got to do is bring the guys.
Okay.
And I got two outstanding parents I lean on a lot.
Okay.
But that's just because they do a lot. And without them, I don't think this would be possible.
Okay, well, very good. And I'm not going to mention, but I think two of those parents are here with us today. I'm going to mention their names a little bit later. But let me ask you, Rico, you made a very good point talking about building a brand. And that is so important, because we know that there are other travel basketball teams in our community, all doing great things, all doing things with our youth that will help to keep them off the streets and out of trouble. Talk a little bit about what makes your team a little bit better. Well, I shouldn't say better, but tell me, in building that brand, what is it that you want the community to take away from your team and building that brand?
I want them to take away, I just want them to understand that these guys are here for you even after basketball season, even after they through with their career. These guys, I want you to be able, you can call on them at any time. Okay. That's what I want. I want them to know that, hey, these guys ain't playing basketball, but they still come rake my yard, cut my grass, trim my hedges, paint something for me.
Okay.
It's just, I want it outside of basketball. You can call on these guys whenever you need them.
Okay, because you do say, you was telling me before we came on air that not only are you going to be asking, community to help sponsor your team, but in order to give back to the community, your kids will be able to go out if someone needs, like you stated, community service work done.
Community service work. That's the biggest thing. Is community service work with the guy and school. Those are my two biggest issues with the guys. If we help the community will help us. Mm-hmm. And if we help ourselves in the classroom, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, talking about sponsorship, if someone or a business was listening to this presentation today, what can they do to help sponsor the Wolverines? Because I understand they got some tournaments coming up. We're going to talk about that in a moment. How can a company help out?
Well, we actually have 3 ways you can help out.
Okay.
You can go to our GoFundMe fund, which would be LaGrangeWolverine.com, GoFundMe, and we also I got my parents out from here to here asking for sponsorship, $25 to $100 to help out with uniforms, shoes, hotel expenses, food, and like I say, on the back end of it, we put your business card, your banner up, free advertising.
Okay. All right, so free advertising, always can use that.
Always. I know free advertising is better than no advertising.
Absolutely. And you say your parents are out soliciting funds and donations and things of that nature. You also have a website, GoFundMe, that people can contribute to. Let's say if a business wanted some work from your kids now, can they contact you or the parents? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can contact me. Okay. They can contact my parents.
All right.
And let us know, and we there.
Okay. All right.
We fix it in the schedule, and we whatever you need us to do, we there.
Okay, well, very good. Let me ask you now, because you were talking about, parental involvement. I think that is so vitally important, and it sounds like you have a great support system with the parents. Now, let's say, for example, a kid does kind of start to drift off, and we want kids to make a mistake as they're young.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that, and how do you help get them back on track?
Well, my biggest thing is it takes a village to raise a kid. And like I said, with my parents, we are a village. So it's not only me disciplinating them, it's the parents too. So it got to be a backing thing. If I see them going offline, it depends on what it is. Because every kid gonna have their thing. Mm-hmm. But my biggest thing is if you cut up, and you cut up to the point where it's embarrassing us as a brand, then I takes away what you love. You love the game of basketball, so okay, now you sit out and watch your brothers play. And you think about, like, what's that mistake I made cost me this. Now just imagine if it's a bigger mistake, what it cost me.
Mm-hmm. And those are just good life lessons.
Yeah.
If you mess up in an error, there's consequences.
Consequences, always. And I gotta say, if it wasn't for you putting that in me, I don't think it would be in me at all. Like I say, because we go back. We go way back, and you know it. And you was a big missionary on me. And I say, even though I made my mistakes in life, which, everybody gonna make a mistake. That's right. It's just you can't keep making the same mistake. That's the key to it. You're gonna make mistakes. Even when you're 60 years old, you're gonna make a mistake. You just can't keep making that same mistake.
Absolutely. And then you all have some tournaments coming up too, so the boys can get out there and kind of showcase their talents. Yes. Talk a little bit about the tournament time, Rico.
Well, actually, we just coming off a tournament this weekend, which was way more than what I expected. It was a nice tournament. Okay. But for the LaGrange team, the city, you can actually come see these guys play. Not only do we do community service in the neighborhood, we want you to come out and support these guys. Okay. We got a tournament coming in April the 8th through the 10th, Hoops on Fire. Mm-hmm. You can come see these guys play. Not only will they come into your house and clean up, now you can come support these guys.
Okay, very good. And how important is that for you, Rico, to have the community come out and back you guys?
It's a real big deal for me because I know this. I know that it's hard it's hard to support a group that you don't see. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say, hey, let me get this, and I don't never see these guys. So, like I said, I'm coming and asking you for funds and stuff, and you can also come see these guys. Okay. That's my biggest issue. If the community can help us, we can help the community. It's like a hand-in-hand thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and do you? And right now you have seventh graders,
Yes.
and you're talking about brand, which I think is so vitally important because people will recognize you by your brand and by your image. You know, when you think about Coke, you think about the wave or the circle, things of that nature. As you continue to build on your brand, do you see maybe you expanding out to maybe younger youth?
Yes, I do, but like I said, at this moment, I think the seventh graders,
Okay.
13-year-old, those are the minds we need to get
Absolutely.
now.
You're right.
Because it's so much going on with them. They got so much involved. They got so much stuff they can derail to. And you know, don't get me wrong, the younger kids too, but 13 and 14, that mind go to moving now.
Yes,
Now
it
that
does.
mind is thinking. And now they can say, well, I can go this way or I can go this way.
Absolutely.
And I want to keep them straight and narrow.
Very good. Very good. Once again, we're talking with Rico Person here, Hoops on Fire basketball travel team. They have a tournament coming up on April 8th through the 10th over at the Griggs Center. And starting what time, Rico?
Well, at the moment, we haven't set a definite time for it.
All right.
But as soon as I get a definite time,
Okay.
we would get it out to the community.
All right.
I got flyers and stuff going around, circulating around the neighborhood. So it has all the information that's needed on there.
Okay.
And like I said, if the community can help us, we can help them.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to coming out to the tournament. I'll be there myself to see my grandson play and also the other young men. And we want to thank you, Rico, for what you're doing with the youth because you're absolutely right. In that age bracket,
Yes.
they need those positive influences in their life. We also want to thank Amy Stepp, parent, and also Nidra Robinson for being here to support you today as you come on. So thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us City Week this week. My guests have been from West Georgia Health. I had on cardiovascular nurse Tara Vaughn from West Georgia Health. Also, I had on from AMR Ambulance Services, Lorraine Lai, who is also operations manager for the Troop, Coweta, and South Fulton areas, as they talked about the importance of getting to the hospital quickly as you have symptoms of heart attacks, and also in reference to February, which was Heart Attack or Heart Healthy Month. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I had on Hoops on Fire travel basketball team coach, Mr. Rico Persons, as he talked about the upcoming tournament that will be held over at the William Griggs Center on April 8th and 10th. And by all means, if there's someone out that would like to sponsor this team as they build on their brand, by all means, give them a call or go to their funding site, GoFundMe. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed these interviews. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.